Caddy, and I am so glad that you have joined me right here on this episode number 4 of the Pastor's Notebook, where we learn, where we grow, and where we go forward together in ministry and in life. So if you are new, then I want to welcome you, and if you are returning, then I want to welcome you back. It's good to be back. We had a couple of weeks where we had to take some time off, just life happening things, kind of stuff. And so, but we are back now, and I am making sure that every single Tuesday you're able to get this, right? You can get the latest episode every Tuesday morning. I would love for you to subscribe, to share, to rate, to review, just to let somebody know. So once again, we can all go forward together in ministry and in life. So once again, this is episode number 4, and today we are just talking about some pastoral things. Let me go back to whenever I was a kid. I came from a very small church, a church that probably ran an average of 30. I remember one year, I've looked up some stats, we ran 11 on Sunday morning. We had 12 when it came to Sunday school. I still don't understand what that was about. But on average, we probably ran 30. I remember one year we actually got up to 100, and you would have thought we were the greatest in the world. We had hit a milestone that our church had never really seen, and it was pretty exciting days. But once again, on average, about 30. One of the things I remember, and I've told you before that I love basketball. I was playing basketball. I was probably about, I'm guessing about 14 or so, maybe 12, somewhere right in that age. And I was playing basketball, playing rec basketball, so it must have been before middle school basketball. And I was in my game. I was having some fun. I was standing on the free throw line. I can still see myself now, and in walks my pastor. It was one of those moments that honestly I kind of freaked out, just to be honest. And it wasn't that I didn't like him, it's the fact that I grew up in a different era. I grew up in a day and age whenever you weren't supposed to wear shorts or whatever, however that worked. And I couldn't believe that he was watching me wear shorts. But I remember him coming up to me after the game and telling me what a great job I'd done and encouraging me just for being me in that moment. It was a pretty amazing time, and I loved every bit of it. I can still picture it. That pastor from time to time would come over my house. That pastor from time to time would, take me and my brother out, maybe get some milkshakes, or he was also a pilot, and so he would take us flying. I have a whole nother story when it comes to that. It was pretty amazing days. The reason I go back to that is one of the very first things that I learned when it came to being a pastor. When I first started my first full-time ministry was this number one lesson, and that is to just show up. To just show up, to make sure that whatever is going on in people's lives, don't forget that you are to show up and to be a part. Now, I learned that because whenever I was in my first assignment, I had a pastor who did a great job. That was his number one thing, to make sure that he showed up in people's lives. He would often go visit them from basically early afternoon till late in the evening. He was in people's homes. But one of the first things he taught me was, Jason, whatever's going on in people's lives, one of the most important things that you can do is to be there, to be a part of their lives, to be where they're at. Don't get stuck in the office. Don't get stuck studying. So many people want to do that. Make sure you do that. And whenever I was there, I still remember one time I had a youth worker. I was a youth pastor in those days, and his family member had died. And so I made the trip. I made the trip. It was about an hour, hour and a half trip just to be a part of the funeral. Now, I didn't stay for the funeral. I went in for the visitation or the viewing, whatever you call it. I went in and saw him, talked with him, and met with him, let him know I was praying for him, let him know that Tina and I were praying for him and his family, and then I left. I was probably there for 5, maybe 10 minutes, something like that. So an hour and a half drive to be there for 5 to 10 minutes, and then we left. And there's something about that. I know that that particular youth worker on that day and in the coming days as we were at that church, he could not believe that I had made that attempt. He looked at me and said, Pastor, you didn't have to do that. Why would you do that? I said, because you're important to me. Because I want to be a part of your life. I want you to know that not only am I and Tina a part of your life, but I also want you to know that God is a part of your life everywhere you go. And so just know that for me, driving that amount of time, those miles, was worth every penny. He could not believe it. It was one of the most incredible things for him that had ever been done, and it made a massive impact. Now, I know that there are different ways to view that, okay? In fact, you may be thinking, hey, I've got, 30 people in my church and you're ready to go and it's not a big deal. But there are other times where it gets harder. For instance, I had someone ask me not too long ago how much time I spend studying in order to get ready for a sermon on Sunday. And we talked about that for a little bit. But whenever you do that, that begins to cut into your time that goes into visiting and connecting with other people. Whenever I first began to hire people, I had a youth pastor, great, phenomenal guy. He loved to study, he loved to proclaim, he loved to share God's word. But one of the things that I had to help him understand is you got to get out of the office. Ministry doesn't happen in here. There are good things that happen in here, but ministry happens out there. We are part of this business that is nose to nose. We're part of a business that's all about people. And so we cannot afford to get stuck. That means at times you may have to really come into the office and study and get it done. This morning I had enough to do, and I've still got kind of a long couple of days ahead of me, but I was here at about 7:30 this morning. Now I know not everybody can do that, and that's okay. But I do think it's important that we begin to allocate our time and we begin to make those priorities because we're called to be pastors, we're called to be preachers, and we are also called to be administrators at some level. And so you have to kind of figure that out. So when it comes to the pastoring thing, make sure that what you do is you show up and you're a part of people's lives. And from time to time, that means putting aside the whole study things. Sometimes it means that you need to have your desk, there, and it might be a little messy. It might mean that you're going to have to put some things down and make sure you get over to somebody's house or whatever. This morning, for instance, I had a meeting at a certain time. I had called somebody last night, prayed with them. They were going to have surgery this morning. And I said, hey, listen, I just want you to know I can't be there tomorrow. I'm praying for you tonight. I'm going to have those of us who are gathered tomorrow morning to pray for you, and I just want you to know that ahead of time. Well, all through the night, God said, Jason, just show up, right? Just show up. And so this morning, I told my wife, I told our secretaries, I told the people that I needed to tell, hey, I'm going to be late to this meeting. I just feel like I need to be at that hospital, and I need to spend some time in prayer with that family because they were facing some pretty important things. Now, I'm talking as someone who maybe was a youth pastor once upon a time and had 30 to 50 kids that were involved in my ministry. There have been other points in time where I had 100 in my church. As the churches have grown, and you may be in this situation right here, you may be finding it tough to get to everybody. And trust me, there is nothing like having the pastor there. Everybody wants the pastor at every given time. I do think it's important for pastors, for us to help other people become ministers of the gospel. There's nothing like walking into a hospital and seeing someone from your church that you've helped train or you've helped to encourage who's already beat you there, and they're praying for those people. But one of the most important things, once again, is to just show up. And so if we're going to do that, Andy Stanley has a phrase that I have adopted, and I try to teach to people. I try to help people understand. And that phrase goes like this: do for one what you wish you could do for everyone. All right? I'm going to say it again because I'm telling you, it's a great phrase to kind of keep in your mind, to kind of keep alongside, because the truth is, as a pastor, I love all my people. I want to be a part of their lives. I want to be there to pray for them. But I also know that I can't do everything, especially as your congregation, as your influence grows, you can't be everywhere at every time. And so I have adopted what Andy Stanley has taught, that I try to do for one, at least every so often, what I really wish that I could be doing for everyone. Now, some people are going to say, well, don't people get mad? Do some people get upset? I mean, if you go visit this person, are these people going to get upset whenever you don't get to them? How is that going to work out? What are they going to say? Listen, I get it. Most pastors, not all, but most pastors, let's put it like this, a lot of pastors, many pastors, are people pleasers. We want to make sure everybody's happy. We want to make sure everybody's taken care of. We want to make sure everybody has a smile on their face. But if you want to make sure everybody has a smile on their face, go sell ice cream. You can't make everybody happy anyway, even if you show up, because you might show up to everybody and not be able to stay very long. So at some point, at some time, you're probably going to let people down. So once again, I think Andy Stanley's phrase of do for one what you wish you could do for everyone is pretty incredible, because I know that I can't get to everybody because of the size and the amount of people that I'm trying to get to. Now, what I've done to combat that or to help that is I've asked some people in my congregation. I have several retired pastors, and said, hey, I can't get to everybody. I've got 12 people trying to have surgery right now. Can you help me out? And so they literally will go and be a part of those people's lives. They'll sit in the hospital rooms. They'll pray with them. And they will tell them, hey, listen, Pastor wished he could be here. He wants to be here. He just can't quite get to everyone. But know that he's praying for you. I usually try and text or call those people the night before just to let them know I'm praying for them, that I wish I could be there. I just can't. But there's those moments where I go, that's someone I need to be a part of. And maybe sometimes it's more about a life and death situation. Sometimes it's just somebody who maybe is a little bit closer to me. Sometimes it may be the fact that who they are and what they're going through may not be necessarily be life or death, but it's something that really needs to be taken care of, and I need to be a part of that. All right? So those are some important things to keep in mind as you and I continue to be the very best pastors that we can be. Because if we're going to do this thing, we might as well do it the very best that we can. So once again, the big takeaway, right? I mean, if you're writing notes, number one, make sure that you show up. Just show up and make sure that you're a part of people's lives. Get out of your office from time to time. Whatever it means, go play golf with them, go to the hospital with them, go grab a Coke and fries with them, schedule your breakfast and your lunches, whatever it means, make sure that you get out of the office. The second thing that's so important, especially as you continue to grow, as your ministry continues to grow, and as your influence continues to grow, and you just can't get to everybody, do for one what you really wish that you could do for everyone. People will get upset, but people are going to get upset anyway. But that doesn't mean that you can't do for those that you really wish you could do. And so find those things. Keep in contact. Keep your finger on the pulse so that you know what's going on, so that you understand this is an important time frame. This is an important time frame. When people get upset, just go, hey, listen, I'm doing my very best. I know I really wish I could have been there, but I couldn't. But call them beforehand. Call them the night before. Call them that morning. Text them, whatever it means. Let them know that you're pastoring them. But do for one what you really wish you could do for everyone. All right? So that's kind of the big deal today whenever it comes to the pastor's notebook, is what we're trying to do is just make sure that we show up, okay? So listen, hopefully this episode has helped you in some way for your days ahead. Hopefully you took some notes on those two different things as you were listening. If you were driving, then don't try and take notes at the same time. But once again, I want to learn. I want to hear, what are some ways that you show up? What are some avenues that you say, well, this kind of makes the cut and that doesn't? What are ways that you're making sure you're a part of people's lives? I would love to hear from that, right? Because I want to grow just like you want to grow. I want to become better just like you want to become better. And so I'm hoping that once again you will share with me so that I can grow and we can grow and move forward together in ministry and in life. All right? Hey, listen, my name is Jason Caddy. I am just glad to be a part of it all. Never, ever forget that. And always, always, always know you are loved.